Use this tool to clarify what you want to accomplish and how. In this episode, I am going to teach you how to use a tool. It's one page, it's profound. I call it the Project Clarifier. I have trademarked it, but when you listen and watch close, you'll be able to use this tool without even having the printed tool in front of you. But it is amazing how well this works to dramatically increase the chance that any project that you tackle, that you undertake, will have the highest chance of success. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been primarily viewed as a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist for more than 48 years. But during that nearly 5 decades, I've taught a lot of courses. I have spoken over 90,000 hours in my life, usually training the general public, but also thousands of financial professionals and CPAs and tax attorneys. And I've been very blessed in my life to have authored 12 books thus far. And in many of my books, I share various tools. So this channel is called 3-Dimensional Wealth because money is not the only thing that matters when we talk about true or authentic wealth. It's like a 3-legged stool. The financial dimension is just one of those legs. The other 2 have to do with your wisdom and your knowledge, your beliefs, your values, your relationships. Those are the most important assets that we value and possess. And so in all of my courses, oftentimes I will mention how my wife and I, we've been married now 48 years, and we have 6 children and 20 grandchildren. And we have family vacations with a purpose. We have Grandpa's Camp every year where all of our grandchildren come. And I use these tools to teach them critical thinking. It's amazing how many college graduates today do not teach their students basic skills like critical thinking. So this is one of my favorite tools. I actually have 22 tools. Some are like tools that you use regularly, like on a tool belt. And these 5 that I'm going to put right now on the screen are sort of ones that I put on my tool belt. But I know them so well, I don't even have to pull out the actual sheet of paper, and you can too. There's other tools that I use maybe once a month or once a quarter. Those are in a tool box. And there's some I only use once a year. Those are in a tool shed. But this particular episode, I'm going to talk about this number 1. I call it the Project Clarifier. And hopefully you'll be blown away with how powerful this is to take the chance of any project you're trying to tackle from maybe a 50-55% chance of coming to fruition to over a 95% chance in the greatest way you could ever imagine it coming together. So here we go. So I usually like to keep these tools simple on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, sometimes an 11 by 17 if you want more writing space. And so I'm going to show you on the screen a sample of this Project Clarifier, and you can take meticulous notes and you'll sort of see the titles and the questions that I ask in order to fill in certain boxes on this Project Clarifier form. So it is shown here on the screen, and I'm going to point to it and explain what it says in case you cannot see it, okay? But I want you to sort of see the format, because you'll see here there's an acronym over here on the right that spells success, SUCCESS. And this will help you change your chance of success to go dramatically higher using a Project Clarifier exercise. So first of all, on this one sheet, whenever I or my wife, our children, our grandchildren have any project that they're wanting to tackle, I have them focus on what it is they're trying to accomplish and get super clear on that project. So you put your name on the form, and then you're ready to jump into this project. Now, it could be a project in your business, in your marketing. Many times people come through my educational courses, and one of the favorite is how to create and leave behind a legacy. And so a lot of times people want to capture the wisdom, the knowledge that's trapped up here in a person's brain or in their heart, such as their mother or their father. And I have stories in my various books that talk about if you do not capture that wisdom, those experiences and knowledge from your mother, your father, your grandpa, your grandma before they pass away, it's going to go to their grave with them. And so there are very powerful tools that I've created in order to be able to interview someone like your mother or father before they pass away, to be able to get things out of their mind and out of their heart that they may have forgotten about until you jog their memory. And so there's tools like the memory jogger and how to capture a life sketch. But let's just say in a broad sense, you're wanting to interview your mother or your father before they pass away or have another stroke or whatever. So you're going to put down the project focus. In this example, that would be interview mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or Aunt Effie or whoever. And so you briefly describe the project up here on the top of the form. And so I want to interview my mom before it's too late so that I can get some of those memories that she hasn't thought about for a long time, captured on video and audio with my smartphone by pushing record, okay? I mean, we have technology at our fingertips here. So that's the project. Now, I'm going to simplify this with a formula like Dan Sullivan taught me. He's called the strategic coach, and he's a personal friend of mine. VOTA, V-O-T-A, stands for vision, obstacles, transformation, and action. So that's sort of what's taking place in these first three boxes. The very first box, you are answering the question in that box, what is your vision of the best outcome? Vision, okay. Well, that I can interview mom and that I'll be able to ask her, so when did you and dad meet? How did you fall in love? And what was your first job? And what at the end of the day, what do you believe to be true? And what's worth sacrificing for? What's worth dying for, mom? And what do you want to make sure your posterity knows about you? See, these are the kinds of things you envision the perfect interview where you capture answers to questions that you've always wanted to ask your mother, but record it so that you can pass it on first person instead of you relaying it like a game of gossip and you change the facts, okay? Or you embellish a story. So V is for vision. The next is what existing barriers or obstacles need to be overcome. So you write in the box, that's the O in VOTA, V-O-T-A. You've got to identify the obstacles. So in this example, she lives far away, but it's hard to get her attention. And she's going to want to rehearse it. So I'm going to catch her sort of off the cuff, and she might not even know I'm recording her, or I may tell her I'm recording it, but don't worry. I just want to be asking you some questions on the sofa. And so you've got to capture her in a relaxed setting. So the obstacle might be, okay, well, when she comes for Thanksgiving or for the holidays, I'm going to sit her down on a couch and we're going to have 2 or 3 hours of uninterrupted time. And I'm just going to pop questions and I'm going to record it and then ask her additional questions. So you identify the barriers that you have to overcome. And then you will begin to think, how can you overcome those obstacles and those barriers so that you can actually complete the project? Very important step. Now, in VOTA, the T is for transformation. So how will this project transform the current situation? Well, in this example, I'm going to be able to capture things that are in my mother's heart and in her mind from experiences, her first job and her memories of childhood and what have you. And why she took up piano or whatever. And I'm going to be able to transform that and transform our future generation, children and grandchildren, into perpetuity because they will listen and re-listen, watch and re-watch forever. They're not going to care about her trust or the money that she may have left behind. Because you're leaving behind that wisdom and knowledge, all those experiences, and that's more valuable than the CASH, the money, which is what I teach. It's the KASH, which is an acronym that stands for knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits. So I want to capture the knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits that my mother had or my grandma had. So those are the first three boxes. Does that make sense? Now, if this is already intriguing you and think, wow, I've got to have one of these, be sure and share this video, maybe with your siblings or somebody, or your business partner. And you can do that by clicking on share, post a comment, click like. But most importantly, I invite you to subscribe to this 3-Dimensional Wealth channel, because I post educational videos that cover all 3 dimensions, all 3 legs of that stool: financial, intellectual, and foundational asset optimization. And when you subscribe, I would recommend you click that little bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new educational video, which I do almost on a daily basis. As of the recording of this episode, I have over 700 videos on this channel. Now, stay with me to the end, because I want to gift you a copy of one of my books, that in that book and in the masterclass, you can have access to this tool and 21 other tools like this that are very powerful. Let me go on to what happens next. Once you get the vision, the obstacles, the transformation clear in your head about a project, then you're going to want to go through the action steps. That's the A. But what I like to do down here in this bolded section, it says, list specific results that need to be realized when the project is completed. Well, that means I like to list at least 3, 1, 2, 3 things that must be true at the end when the project is done. So in this example I've been using, that I've actually successfully interviewed Mom, and I got experiences, I got her values, her beliefs, and I got stories that will be shared for generations. And so you write down the 3 results that are the most optimal, that you want to make absolutely sure you achieve those results before your mother suffers a stroke or passes away or what have you. Otherwise, it's too late. They'll go to their grave with them. So you get super clear on the results. Then the final is to go through the action steps. Now, this is where you go through the checklist over on the right, and it spells success, SUCCESS. So each one of those boxes, you're basically answering those questions that start with that, and I have this memorized in my head. So the success formula, which takes your chance of that project going to full fruition in a full living color up to 90-95%, is following this formula. The first S stands for simple, okay? The most simple and short thing that you need to accomplish and that you're trying to get from this experience or this project. You got to be super clear in your head. The U stands for understand, okay? You need to understand the situation. Who is this going to benefit? What's this going to involve? And what resources are you going to employ and knowledge you need to obtain and so forth. I have other tools for that. But you have to understand who and what resources and who you're going to use. So that's the U. The first of the middle C's there stands for clarity. You've got to get super clear on what this project is about, the purpose, the end result, and that comes from some of this that you've already thought about on this form on the left-hand side. But the second of the middle C's talks about really the things that are concrete. This can't be abstract. It can't be esoteric out there. You've got to get super clear on why is this important and why this so critical that this concrete example can be used and why it matters in real life. It can't be just this fluff and everything. It's got to be concrete. Now, that's the second of the middle C's. Now we come to this E down here. And if you look at it, it involves emotion. See, whenever you have a project, you've got to think of everybody out there. If you are more of a logical thinker, not everybody thinks like you do. Probably 50% of people make their decisions more out of the matters of the heart, out of their emotions, how they feel. So you've got to make sure you use emotion, because if you just use logic, you'll only engage about half of your people. You've got to use emotion. If you use logic, you'll do okay. But if you use emotion, you'll be wealthy. And I'm not talking about just money. And so you've got to use high concepts coupled with high touch is what I call it. It's right brain and left brain. That's the E. Now we get back to S's down here, and the first of the last S's here stands for substance. It's got to have substance. People have got to be able to get their arms around what's being said. In other words, it cannot be out there like, well, I could never do this, or that sounds strange to me, or I've never heard that, or you've got to be able to empower the person that's going to benefit from this so that it has substance. What does this mean for me? What can I learn in my life, and how can I apply what is being captured or shown here in this project. The last S stands for synergism here. In other words, you've got to synergize with the people that are going to help the project come to fruition. So you have to analyze, okay, what resources? If I were interviewing, for example, my mom, maybe I will use somebody who's got technology or editing, or maybe you use resources such as Otter AI or recording on your smartphone, so that as you're recording your mother's interview, it's being transcribed instantly, so you don't have to pay somebody else to transcribe it. And you may have to edit a little bit, but you're trying to use synergism with technology and people resources to make sure the project comes to fruition in full living color, maybe even better than you anticipated, and it could turn out to be a book, okay? Many projects I've had, because of the success formula, I ended up creating strategic byproducts that were way bigger than my original idea when I started on this form. Is that making sense? So folks, if this is intriguing you and you want to see how you can learn about tools like this and others, I want to gift you a copy of this book. I have these tools in different books, but Entitlement, Abolition talks about these tools and how you can use them with your family or with your employees if you're a business owner. But if you go to entitlementabolitionbook.com, click on the link below, and you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, I'll cover the rest of that cost and I'll pay for the book. This is a 200-page book, 12 chapters. And when you immerse in this, there's options there also to listen and learn, watch and learn. There's even an 18-hour masterclass. It's in that masterclass where I give access to 22 tools just like the Project Clarifier, and I explain in video how we use a tool like this with our children, our grandchildren, our employees, our clients, our customers. It's really impactful. So here is to your brighter future.